All right, guys, we are live, and I am here again. Thanks for coming on again, man, with the great Paul Clemens.
We're on live. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I had to get out of my crypt.
Yeah.
To come here.
Yeah, well, it's good you did, man. We've been
Yeah,
talking about doing something like this and doing
yeah.
talking about a lot of movies, and
I like that. I
this
like
is
that intro of yours. Nicely edited. That's
oh,
very,
thank you, man.
very
And
cool.
it was like we were talking backstage about copyright, all of that. No issues ever with that intro string.
Yeah,
Never
no,
an issue,
not at
but
all.
yet you'll get some dumb issue on the stupidest thing.
Exactly.
But
Let me
how,
let me
yeah,
ask you. Have you done yet anything on? As I saw a couple glimpses there. One of my favorites that doesn't get enough attention. Tourist Trap.
yes, I have. That's this favorite '70s movie of mine.
Have you? Oh, I love
I
Tourist.
I love. I actually think I did. Yeah, I did a video on it very early on, and then I did a watch along with a few friends
Oh, did you?
on it. And then I've done several score covers of the music box love theme
Yes.
that plays.
Great.
I've done a few. The score is so underrated in that movie.
It is.
Yeah, Tourist Trap's a great.
Everything's under. I love that film. Yeah.
Chuck Connor is in
Oh
his
God.
last role, I
So
believe. Right,
great.
that was his last.
Yeah.
Great movie.
He was great, and I loved it. Yeah.
So this movie that we're going to be talking about here now, just so everyone knows and people watch this in the replay, Paul here's the expert on this between the two of us. I like this movie, Carnival of Souls from 1962. I've seen it a handful of times, 3-4 times, maybe something like that. But it's never a movie I loved, but I have a ton of appreciation for it, and there's so much great atmosphere in this movie, and it's very Lynch-esque. Like, I'm sure Lynch was very influenced by this movie. I know many directors were.
Yeah, it's Lynchian for sure.
Very
But
dreamlike, surreal, all
yeah,
those type of styles that Lynch would go on to perfect.
yeah, yeah, no question. Yeah, it's a film that it's interesting. When I first saw it, I think I had a similar reaction to yours. I mean, I really liked it,
Mm.
but I've since seen it several times with different people, and it's one of those movies that every time I see it, I realize new things about it and how kind of groundbreaking it was. How it clearly was influenced by some pretty cool stuff like the works of Jean Cocteau. I mean, the director Herk Harvey talked about being directly influenced by Cocteau and Bergman, and he himself, he knew his film stuff.
And Herk Harvey, actually, he's in the film and plays the
Yeah,
man, I think is what
yeah,
he's credited as, right?
the
Who
man.
stalks Mary throughout this.
Yes, throughout the film. Yeah, that is definitely the director himself, Herk Harvey. And um, he, here's it's interesting. Two such different films at the same time. 1962. I hear that and I go, oh yeah, that was also the year. That was also the year of the release of a very different film starring Katharine Hepburn and Jason Robards and Dean Stockwell and Ralph Richardson. Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill, directed by
Okay.
Sidney Lumet. Now that's about as different.
As a movie.
Same year, completely different. But
Well, that reminds me of like 1960, and I always say that's maybe the two or maybe three most influential horror movies that we got for modern horror, at least, is Psycho. We got Mario Bava's Black Sunday, and then we
sure.
had Peeping Tom
Oh God, I
from
love Peeping Tom.
Powell. So I mean, those three movies and then
I love
Black Sunday and Psycho released within a week of each other.
Yeah, I mean, those are fantastic. Obviously, everyone knows and loves Psycho. That's
Yeah,
so.
that got the critical praise. Mario Bava's film really didn't get anything at the
No,
time
but it's
until
wonderful.
later.
It's one of the best vampire, most unusual vampire films. It's fabulous. I love
Oh yeah,
that. And but the what's the other one you mentioned? The third one,
Peeping Tom.
Peeping
Tom.
Tom. Now there's an underrated, not underrated. Those who have seen it realize it's a masterpiece. I mean, it has been called a masterpiece, which it is more than once.
I agree. I just don't. I don't care for it too much. I don't watch it. I love it, but it is a masterfully made
Well,
film.
it is, and yeah, I mean, it may not be to everyone's taste, but it is. You can't deny that it's brilliantly done.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
not that many people have seen it. really comparatively. Not that many people have seen it,
Yeah.
really. And Lawrence Pressburger, who did the film, or was the Pressburger, he was, he directed it, co-produced it and directed it, and they did many movies together. The Red Shoes, Black Narcissus, all kinds of marvelous films. But that film, Peeping Tom, destroyed Pressburger's career.
Oh yeah, just because of how controversial I'm sure it was at the time, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that was too much for its time. It was just, it went too far. People were
Yeah.
like disturbed in a way they did not enjoy, and it's like he was punished. He was punished.
Well,
Yeah.
I can imagine. I mean, if you think that same year before Psycho, you couldn't show a toilet being flushed.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So it's like showing all that, and then especially Bob is from Black Sunday and showing nobody like what he was showing. Yeah, nobody was seeing stuff like that before that.
By the way, I got to spend a wonderful hour or so, 90 minutes in Century City years ago at a shopping mall with just visiting with Barbara Steele.
That's so cool. I reached out to her, and as a long shot, who knows if she ever sees it, but I would love to, because there's there's not many people left from the Italian, great period that we had.
She was a total sweetheart, really easy to talk to, very down to earth, just, and she took time. I mean, she didn't mind, talking at length, but I think what probably impressed her about my visit was, not once did I bring up Black Sunday or any of her horror. I spent all my time talking with her about the Holocaust, because she produced an incredible miniseries on the Holocaust, the most powerful ever made on that subject in terms of miniseries, called War and Remembrance, and it was directed by Dan Curtis of Dark Shadows fame. He directed it, and she co-produced it with him. And it was an enormous epic with an incredible cast of stars like John Gielgud, Jane Seymour. I mean, you name it. It had so many incredible people in it. But they were the only film company at that time, and to this day, I think it's still the case, that were actually allowed to film inside of Auschwitz. Even Schindler's List, they didn't allow them to actually go into the camp. They had to film the inside of it and make it look.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah, I was just thinking Schindler's List.
They turned the train around and they made it look like the train was entering Auschwitz. It was actually leaving. They could film this train leaving, but they couldn't bring the crew in. But they did allow Curtis's company to do this, and that made for an unforgettable experience. It's not pleasant. It's incredibly explicit. Full frontal nudity. I mean, this was way back in the day, right? This is ABC prime time. I mean, when have you ever seen full
something you would never expect to see back then? Yeah,
you just wouldn't. But because of the subject matter, and it was not done as an exploitation thing. It was absolutely accurate,
educational, and
exactly. And they allowed them to film there. And in fact, their technical advisor on the film later was the same technical advisor as Schindler's List, Branko Lustig. So I had a lot to talk to her about regarding, that's what I was interested in. I mean, not that I'm not interested in Black Sunday or any of those others, but I know that she had been talked to death by people about that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that a lot of times they appreciate being talked to and asked about things that most people don't, like projects that are less known or underrated.
And War and Remembrance was her passion project. I mean, that meant a great deal to her as a person, and so she was very happy to talk about that at length. Not because I started to talk about other things. She said, "No, I won't talk about horror." It wasn't like that. I never even brought that other stuff up. I just, So, but anyway, she was wonderful.
I think I might have fixed the sound issue.
Oh, really?
Because there's a setting up for. I just realized there's a setting for each person on. Mine's always set to reduce background noise. I didn't know that you can do it individually per person. So there's an option, reduce mic background noise. So I just turned it on yours. So that might solve the issue.
Thank you. Yes. I'm
Wish
glad.
we figured that out the 2 hours we were talking last time. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
on, but there's plenty more times, right?
Um,
So we got
anyway,
it.
what I should say up front about as a background to Carnival of Souls
Yeah,
is that
before we put the movie
yeah,
on here and jump into it.
is that the director Herk Harvey, and that's not Herk. It was a nickname. I'm trying to remember. Uh, well, you can look up on IMDb, or you can on the internet. You can easily find out his full actual name, but everyone called him Herk. Herk Harvey, and I think that's what he's credited as in the movie. Doesn't it say directed by Herk Harvey? I think
I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, from what I
well,
remember.
well, his background, and it was a very impressive one, but it wasn't in regular filmmaking. It was filmmaking, but not the kind that not the kind we see in Carnival of Souls. What he was known for was the many, many, many films that he directed for a company called Centron, Centron, Centron.
Okay.
It was the #1 company for industrial films, travel log kind of thing, travel films, industrial things, promotional movies to promote certain, to promote whatever, but for want of a better term, like industrial
Okay.
film. He did, I don't know how many, 35, 40, just tons
Yeah.
of industrial
Well,
film.
I mean, that's the good thing about little niches like that.
Yeah.
That you can just go crazy and work your ass
Yeah.
off because there's not as many people doing that type of
Right.
thing.
But it was a real learning laboratory for him because he came up with so many situations. You'll have to answer for me. I can't be typing today. I'd love to.
Nah, that's hey, Synth, May, everybody in the chat who's coming.
Hi.
So, hey, JT, hey, Paul,
Hey
and
I do, everybody. I do see what you say, but I can't type. So. Anyway,
no problem. I had. You don't have to worry about the chat. That's my headache.
No,
You guys, not headache. You know what I mean, guys. Screw you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I love you.
But anyway, Centron Films turned out to be a real learning laboratory for Herk Harvey because he perfected all kinds of techniques. In fact, he wrote an article for American Cinematographer magazine about the innovative special effects techniques they came up with over his years at Centron, things that were developed there that would then went on to be used by other films in the industry. Yeah. And so he was an innovator. He was very well traveled. He traveled all over the world filming things. And, he was a really neat guy, very knowledgeable about a lot of things. And he was a film buff. And so when he made Carnival of Souls, it wasn't, yes, it's his one, feature that's not an industrial thing or wasn't done for Centron. That's his claim to fame, but boy, did it ever turn out to be famous eventually. It wasn't when it came out. When the film came out, it was got very little exposure. It wasn't released. It crept out. It snuck out. It was just very limited, tiny, release. But
got reappraised over the years, like many classic films do.
And the reason that happened was, late night TV.
Yeah, a lot. That did a lot. That did that for a lot of movies. I mean,
late night.
Look at Eraserhead that used to get played constantly back then, right on the late nights.
Oh yeah, but this preceded Eraserhead. I adore Eraserhead. It's a masterpiece. But a lot of people don't know, by the way, that Eraserhead, and this is true. You can look it up in David Lynch's own memoir, his own personal memoir. I always thought this was a story that was what's the word for something that anyway it doesn't matter. But I thought, this can't be true. It's too good to be true. It must be made up. But no, it's actually true that Eraserhead was Stanley Kubrick's favorite film.
I've heard that. He showed it to all the cast members to get them in the mood. That's the atmosphere.
Yes, that's right. When he was doing
such a great story.
Oh yeah, and it's true. And Lynch was making The Elephant Man in England at the time, and a couple guys on his crew who had worked with Kubrick on The Shining. The Shining was before was before Elephant Man, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was 1980 was The Shining. So a year after Eraserhead.
And was a couple, yeah. So a couple guys on his crew who knew Kubrick, who had worked with Kubrick on The Shining, were invited to Kubrick's home. Lynch himself was not there, but these guys went, had dinner with Kubrick, and afterwards Kubrick said, would you like to see my favorite film? And he showed them Eraserhead. And of course, they were currently working for Lynch on Elephant Man. So,
Yeah. And two different, very different films from Lynch.
Very different. Well, yes and no.
Well,
Visually, you can absolutely tell in terms of the look of the film, the use of black and white. You can absolutely tell it's the same director.
That you could tell with his style and the look from all of his films. But story, the tone, story, all that.
Completely opposite. But anyway, they were, so they came back the next day to the set of the Elephant Man, and they said, "Hey, David, guess what?" And they told him what happened the night before and what Lynch had said. I mean, what Kubrick had said about Eraserhead, and when Lynch himself tells that story in his memoir, he said, "When I heard that, I could die happy." I knew I could die happy.
I mean, what a compliment! I mean, from
Kubrick
of all people. And not even that, but you bring that up. His directorial debut at that.
Oh, I know.
His first film, it wasn't Eraserhead. His directorial debut, feature, and that film to be praised so much by a director like Kubrick.
Well, and recognized, more importantly, recognized by Mel Brooks, who produced The Elephant Man. He hired him on the strength of
Eraserhead,
And some people,
real career to start with.
Well, that was a courageous move because it was such a different kind of story. And on the strength of Eraserhead, which was to some people such a bizarre movie. I mean, I know some years back when I took a girlfriend to see Eraserhead. It's not a great date movie, okay?
I'll tell you this, it's not a good movie it's fine to watch late night, but it's not a good movie to record an hour-long deep dive into it at 3 a.m. after. That's not a good idea either.
I'll never forget the first time I saw it. I came out of there and I walked home to my apartment in Century City in an absolute kind of daze. You watch that film, it feels like nightmares you've had. It really feels like a bad dream, for real. I've never seen the ambience of a bad dream more vividly portrayed than in Eraserhead. And when I walked home, I still felt I was in the movie. I still felt like I was in this weird dream.
Yeah, because exactly like you said, it plays on all of us. We all are humans. We all have dreamt. We all know what nightmares are like. So it lingers and then pulls on your own nightmares and dreams too.
Absolutely,
it's so effective.
And I saw it as a midnight movie at the New Art, which also every Saturday night continues to show Rocky Horror Picture Show.
They're still doing that, huh?
I
heard that. So that's great.
Still doing it. I think they stopped a little while during COVID, but then once then they got going.
Yeah, then they let it. That's great to keep it going.
But if any film, along with Eraserhead, if any film is super appropriate to be a midnight movie, it is Carnival of Souls. But it never was. It wasn't a midnight movie. It was too early. It was before that started to happen. The whole midnight
before that was even a thing. Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. If it had
exactly. I was going to say, I'm sure if it was a thing then, or if the movie was released a little later when it wasn't, it would absolutely have been.
It would have been a midnight movie for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it has that vibe all over it.
Synth makes a good point here. Eraserhead is best watched in a theater or in a dark room in the cold with headphones.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree 100%.
Headphones, actually, I can't. Lynch is the only director that I watch with headphones anytime I watch a film. Anytime.
Oh my God! The soundscapes of his films, the stuff Alan Splett did with Eraserhead, Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, Dune. Amazing sound.
The sound design is unbelievable in all of Lynch's work, and that's why I can't watch it without headphones. Every time I watch it, headphones go on. I need to be immersed in that soundscape. It's so perfect. So yeah, we got Carnival of Souls queued up here, so we're gonna put it up on the screen, guys.
Yeah.
So you guys
one other thing I wanted to say in
absolutely.
this really is the kind of the heart and soul of this movie is really Lawrence, Kansas. Even parts of it that don't take place in Kansas, where you're supposed to be in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, the most memorable location in the movie is indeed in Salt Lake City, Utah. And that is the incredible pavilion. I mean, that's what inspired the movie. Herk Harvey was on a trip. He was driving by, like her character in the movie. He's driving by and he suddenly goes,
really?
Yes. And he was
great. Sure.
Yeah, he just saw it and he went, oh my God, look at that place. And he was so struck by the power of that location that it got him thinking, and the whole movie sprung out of him seeing that unexpectedly, seeing the old, it was called Saltaire, the old Saltaire.
It's amazing how little things like that could start a whole thing that you would never expect. In this case, a whole film that comes out of just driving and seeing a location.
Yeah.
And then that growing into a movie.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
But other than that, all of that, which is definitely not in you could say upon entering Saltaire Pavilion, we are not in Kansas anymore. I don't.
A great little tagline to throw up as a caption during it.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Yeah. Meanwhile, no longer in Kansas.
Yeah. But most of the movie was shot where Herk Harvey lived. That was his base of operations. That's where he passed away years later. And the other good thing, by the way, is that unlike so many directors of something like this, of a movie that gets to be discovered later, and then they talk about how brilliant it is and so forth. And it's always, a lot of times it's sad because the director will have passed away long before that and never got the recognition that,
That's so
true. Like Ed Wood, in a way. I mean, Ed Wood, I'm sure when he died, did not know he was going to be a pop culture celebrity.
No. And that happens, unfortunately, like you said, too often. I mean, not often, but too often enough, it shouldn't happen.
Exactly. Goodness. Thank goodness. In the case of Herk Harvey, he absolutely lived to reap the benefits and enjoy the rediscovery of his film, all the acclaim, the special events around it, cast reunions, the whole thing. And he just loved it like a kid in a candy store. He had such a good time with all of that. He was so grateful. He was just delighted that people, loved it so. And to show you just how enthusiastic he was, he would turn up at a couple of these special events in his makeup from the movie. He would put on his deathly.
That's awesome that he was so excited and got into it like that.
He would show up as the man.
That's great. This movie actually does remind me a bit, especially with the dream surreal feeling to it, of Night of the Hunter.
Yes.
From 1955.
Yeah, of course.
55, right? It was 55?
Yes. Oh, yeah. 55. I think it was. That was, it feels like, it does feel like an influence for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he was influenced by that film.
He mentioned Cocteau as an influence. He mentioned, I think, Bergman and so forth. He was influenced by a lot of European stuff, but
that shows too. If you're familiar with European movies and stuff, then you watch this, you could see it. No question. And nope, that's true. Horror never goes out of style. Because absolutely. Hey, Daniel,
the style of horror changes. It doesn't go out of style, but the style of horror changes with the decades. It's a very malleable genre. It can kind of become almost anything. I mean, there's horror comedies, there's horror, action, there's horror this, there's hybrids of horror and, whatever, put together with military theme.
I think a lot of that has to do with the times changing, because horror films are a great way, like George Romero, the great George Romero once said that they're parables.
That's right.
And with his social commentary, and a lot of directors use that. It's a reflection of the time period that you live in. That's why you have the eras.
Especially Dawn of the Dead. Talking about consumerism
and all that.
Consumerism in more ways than one.
Absolutely. I mean, he was so clever. I mean, what a great director.
And a great guy. You've met him, I'm sure. Everybody met.
I've never met Romero. No.
Really? You never met Romero?
Yeah, no. I never usually went to. I never went to conventions and stuff. Like I
Oh, you
did.
didn't?
Like
I always assumed you would.
I went
Wow.
to one last year, the one that I got a press pass for. I was able to talk with Kane Hodder and a few others for a little bit. But and I went to maybe 1 or 2 years and years ago. But it was never something I really got big into. Like was going to
My
the
my
con.
favorite all time convention experience had to be years ago in San Jose at a horror convention there, where I got to have breakfast with the entire cast of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, you said that's so cool.
It's Jim Sydow, John Duggan, who played Grandpa, Kane Hodder, Marilyn Burns, um, uh, Ed Neal, the hitchhiker, who became a buddy.
Yeah.
And just, imagine having breakfast with all of them. I mean, that was
Oh
that was
yeah.
that
It's
was
better
rather.
than having dinner with them. I guarantee you that. I mean, I'm
There
sure it's better than dinner scene
you
with them.
go. There you go.
Because that didn't turn out well for any of the people in any of
No,
the
that
movies in that
turned out well
series.
for anybody. I was delighted though to hear from Ed that the cast, there were things in the movie that my couple of my friends and I thought were hilariously funny in terms of black comedy, really dark humor,
Yeah.
especially in that dinner scene. And and when the father sees the front door chainsawed into pieces and he goes,
Yeah,
"Look
yeah.
what your brother did to the door."
Oh,
Doesn't he
there's
have
such
any,
great dark
doesn't he have
humor.
any pride in his home? Pride in his home. You see the inside and it's
I
just,
know the way it looks. It's so there's a lot of that little subtle black humor in there and stuff.
I
And
love
then
it.
you could see how he leaned into that, and you could see how that led to two.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. You never know whether the cast, when they're making the movie, or the filmmakers, did they think it was funny? In this
I
case,
know.
oh yes, they thought it was,
Oh yeah, with Hooper and them absolutely.
they definitely thought it was funny.
Yeah.
They had a hard time at times not ruining a take by laughing. I mean, there were things that they found very funny. So I was pleased to hear that. The same thing was true when I had a long visit with David Lynch in his office at De Laurentiis Entertainment right after the release of Blue Velvet. Oh yeah, it was right after the release of Blue Velvet, and I was talking with him about any number of things, but talking about a couple things in Blue Velvet, which I thought were very funny. And he was laughing right along. I mean, when I mentioned these things, he started laughing, and so did I. And we're laughing together over things that other people watching that movie might have stared at us like, "Are they out of their mind? They're sick."
I know. What's funny about that?
They think this
Sickos,
is
yeah. I got the same sense of you. It works great when it's done.
I guess I
Even
haven't.
better, like you said, when they know, when the people making the films like Lynch, like you said, like they're aware, they find it funny, and
Yeah.
you know that it's purposeful.
As far as my humor goes, I would fit in quite well with the Addams Clan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me too. All right, so you want to get this movie started?
Let's do the movie.
You want to start the movie and talk all about this classic?
Well, it's it's. I find it interesting that so much of the movie is all done in Lawrence, Kansas, in that area, as I said,
Yeah.
except for the stuff with the pavilion, because the story does start out, as I recall, in Kansas, and then the main character, she moves to because she gets a job. She's an organist. She's a professional organist.
Yeah, organ player. Yep.
Yeah, and she gets a job as the new church organist at a church in Utah, in Salt Lake City. So she travels, by car from Kansas to Salt Lake City, and then that's where the rest of the movie takes place. There's a boarding house that she winds up staying in, the bed and breakfast in a boarding house, which is supposed to be in Utah, in Salt Lake. It's not. It's in Kansas. There's really a lot of stuff on the Criterion DVD extra materials, and they have a whole thing on the locations of the film where they take you there. The locations kind of then and now.
Cool.
And I always like those kind of then and now pieces.
Yeah. I know some people who go to the locations for films, like the Myers house from Halloween. I have a friend who, and a few people I've seen that go there. I mean, I live right by the Amityville house.
Oh, okay.
It's 10 minutes from me. I took a ride out there once. It'll like quick little video without getting arrested,
Right.
trying to take like a little video while I was pretending to smoke a cigarette as I'm filming, as I'm walking. Because I don't know if I forgot if someone was living there, if people were living there when I went. I didn't think they were, but I didn't want to take a chance,
There's a series on YouTube that does that, exactly that. That's what it. The horrors haunted something. Horrors hallowed. That's it. Horrors
Okay.
hallowed grounds. Take a look at that. It's well done. Here, horrors
Nice.
hallowed grounds. It takes you to
gotta
all.
check that out.
Yeah, it takes you to all kinds of locations. And
Awesome.
Sean, the guy who does that, is one of my two agents for convention bookings, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Daniel, what do you say? Then we'll start this movie. Dark Man with Liam Neeson's terrific. Yeah, that's a good movie. What do you say? You start this movie and we'll start diving into it.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's bring it up on here. It should work. Right?
Wait a minute. That's
yeah. No, that's nope. Now it is.
it's not the beginning. There we
Nope.
go. No,
No, it's not.
no,
Now it is.
Now it is.
Okay. Guys in chat, everyone in chat, let me know if the sound's too loud or compared to our voices, or
It might be too soft right now. I don't know. You want to be able to hear it.
Come on, you want to try?
Yeah, I think the dialogue here was probably not sure.
I think it might have been drowned out, while in the film because of the car.
That's Candace Gilliglass. Wonderful actress. She plays is it Mary Henry? Isn't that the name? I think it's, but she's
I'm just messing around with the sound.
She's the main character.
Yeah. Should be. Try talking for a sec, Paul.
Okay.
Sounds right to me, but people in chat, let me know if there's any audio balancing issues.
I think you've got the best right balance. It's not too loud. It's not too quiet. There's a pretty impressive stunt coming up here.
It's like I was telling Paul backstage, I never throw the movie on like this since this is public domain and it's allowed, but I've never thrown a video and had it stream while we're live. So if there's any technical difficulties, fucking bear with it, everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, that's pretty impressive
right
there to actually stage a car coming off the bridge. And I mean, for a movie with this low a budget, that was pretty impressive.
I love that. I love the title right there, the title card coming up in the water.
Isn't that a great logo too? The design of that logo is iconic. With the water underneath. Now, Candace Gilliglass. She was a very impressive actress.
That's cool.
She had an incredible pedigree. The people she worked with in New York, she studied at the Actors Studio with Lee Strasberg, and she was the real deal. She had a lot of very impressive credits. She was, above average talent, and it shows because she's the heart and soul of the film. If she wasn't so strong,
great performance.
It is. If she wasn't so strong, the whole movie wouldn't have worked the way it did.
Yeah, absolutely. It hinges a lot on the style, the music, I would say, the style, the atmosphere, and her performance.
John Clifford, he wrote the screenplay, and Gene Moore, the score, by the way, it's unusual in that the entire score is organ music, and of course her character.
It's so fitting. Yeah, that's
her character's an organist, so it really fits. It does. And this it's interesting. This film, I think, was inspired by two other. Uh, no, one movie was one movie is a much more recent film, and that was inspired by the same source material. There's a story called "An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge" by Ambrose Bierce,
Okay.
and there was an episode of The Twilight Zone based on that story, same title, "An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge," but it wasn't made for the Twilight Zone series. It was a film, a short
Okay.
film, an award-winning movie. It may have been Canadian or French Canadian. I think it was like French Canadian, and it had won.
They kind of ushered it into the Twilight Zone, I guess.
Yeah, it fit perfectly. It was ideal, same ambiance as the other Twilight Zone episodes. So Serling worked out some kind of a deal, and he got the rights to show it as one of the episodes of the Twilight Zone. And that same story, Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which does involve someone falling off a bridge into the water, and was also an influence on Adrian Lyne's film years and years later, Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder also clearly similar influence.
That's such a great movie. Oh yeah, we were talking about that the other day. Yeah, Jacob's Ladder is just such a masterfully made movie.
Oh, it is. But the amazing thing is, the most powerful and effective scene in the entire movie was cut. It never wound up in the finished film. You can see it in the bonus materials, but it was never shown as part of the original movie. And it was too bad because it was an important scene. It should never have been cut.
Are you all right?
Now
did they remake Jacob's Ladder?
No.
No, right?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
for some reason I thought of it. Maybe you know what I'm thinking of? The Rush song, Jacob's Ladder, because of the movie.
No.
The song by Rush, Jacob's Ladder. That's what I was thinking of.
Now, Mary Henry's character here, she comes walking out of the water, all covered with mud and so forth. The others in the car have obviously drowned or dead. And I kind of want to know, the people here who are watching this with us, show of hands, please. Or what? I mean, how many people watching with us have seen this movie before? Or is this new to a lot of you?
Yeah, how many of you guys have seen this? I know May said she's never seen this.
Okay,
So,
good. All right.
That's
Well,
one.
all I need is one person saying they've never seen it. So a couple things that I would say that would be spoilers, I will leave till later. Because I don't want to.
Okay. Yeah. Spoiler. That's always. There's so many little nuances to doing like live watches and stuff like this. It's just you don't want to say too much ahead of time for people if they're all watching or
Yeah. Notice the
Stacy has seen it. She's seen it.
Now notice the really great cut that Herk Harvey did just there. Close up of her hand on the panel of the car, the key and the buttons on the the dashboard. He cuts from the dashboard to a close up of those buttons on the
for playing
of the organ. Those white white buttons. They're called organ stops, but they look not unlike the. So it was a really cool cut to go from
that is a cool transition
of the car and those buttons to what she's doing here with the organ.
Yeah, I always love those very clever transition cuts from one thing, and then it kind of relates to the next shot in a clever way.
Now this is a real organ factory. This is a place where they built pipe organs. So they didn't obviously create this for the movie. This was already there. And
I mean, pipe organs obviously, they can get huge.
Oh yeah, well they are. You see how big that is.
I mean, and a great sound.
With most organs, you all you might see are some of the pipes, but all the mechanisms, all the stuff is usually underground. The majority of the mechanisms are
they're hidden.
The accident won't delay you going, will it?
No. I'm leaving this morning. There's nothing I can do here.
That's right. Well, Mary, you'll make a fine organist.
Yeah, I love the whole look of this movie. Always
Yep.
have just that the
Turn it
the
up
style
slightly.
to it.
Turn it up slightly.
It's
Come on.
not quite
Turn it-
that,
yeah.
We're going into
Little
church work.
I'm not taking the vows. I'm only going to play the organ.
Maybe if I make the
More than
screen
that,
bigger,
of course
then
it
I
doesn't
can.
pay much.
Because it's like a little bar for the volume. So like I'm trying to go lower, but then it goes off, and then I'm trying to go high.
It's okay. You can leave it. It's all right. It's not that bad.
Oh, that's what. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to stay true.
Hold on.
Mary, it takes more than intellect to be a musician.
How's that?
Put your soul into
Yeah.
it a little. Okay?
Cool.
Good luck, Mary.
She
Stop
just
by
made
and
it
see
very.
us the next time you're in.
Thank you. But I'm never coming back.
I'm never coming back. She
Yeah.
she made it very clear
Unfortunately.
that she made it very clear and that for her playing the organ is just a job. It has no spiritual component.
I don't know about that girl. How do you mean?
Yeah.
Day before yesterday, she was the only one of 3 girls to survive an accident. You'd think she'd feel a little something like humbleness or gratitude.
Yeah.
Never know what she thinks. She's always kept pretty much to herself.
Yeah, maybe in her place I'd do
Yeah, all
the
that.
same thing.
I love all the little hints thrown in throughout the movie like this.
Well, she's so quiet like she fools you. But she's a tough-minded little thing.
I guess that's what it takes to survive. But I still say she's behaving strange.
Well, if she's got a problem, we'll go right along with her.
Yep.
I love that. Love that line. If she's got a problem, it'll go right along with it. And boy, does it ever. Her whole performance is haunted. She really, being such a fine actress, she was able to play it on a number of levels. And you can always tell she's got things going on inside. You know, it's not a surfacey one level.
Forgot I had my mic on mute for a sec. You know what that shot earlier when they're on the bridge, the 2 people, and they're looking down at the car? They reminded me of Ronet Polanski walking on the bridge in Twin Peaks. The one who survives the night, Laura's friend. And there's a shot in the show when Ronet Polanski's like beaten, bruised, and she's walking on the. I think it's a bridge, right? But it looks very similar.
I've seen every episode, but I don't not enough to. Some I've seen more than others. Some episodes, but
Yeah, like have it in your head. I mean, it's a small little scene too, but it reminded me of that when they were on the bridge earlier.
There we go. Welcome to Utah. Welcome to Utah. Now,
and for a black and white movie, I mean, the black and white looks great too.
Now watch this, folks.
It holds up.
Watch this. There's a great, really unsettling sequence here. Genuinely eerie.
I was just thinking it gently.
Yeah. That's interesting. At first, you think that's
this is
score. You think it's the score of the movie, but obviously it's meant to be the music she's actually hearing on the radio. This weird organ kind of, because she keeps changing it.
Yeah.
The music keeps changing.
That's cool.
She's actually hearing that music. There's the pavilion. There's our first shot of it. You barely see it there on the horizon, but that's what it is. All right, watch this.
No, that's a very cool scene.
Yeah, watch this.
The reflection's great.
That was great. You do not expect to see someone looking in at you through the window of your car when you're driving fast down a highway. You don't expect to see someone staring in your car window.
No, you don't. If something does,
There it is.
if that does happen, then you're either you took some really fun stuff, or you're mentally ill in some way. That's not right. You should not see somebody staring into your driving
Now
car.
that apparition, because a lot of people won't know this, that apparition who you saw first staring at her through the side window, and then on the road, she came to a stop and, went off the road because she was so frightened by this figure. That apparition is known, not they call him, in publicity materials, they call him the man. He's not called that in the movie. He's not called anything. They don't refer to him by a name. They don't call him a man. They don't call him anything. But the actor who plays that creepy apparition is the director of the movie. That's Herk Harvey, the director. I may have mentioned that already up front, but that he did play that role. But he's an effective presence, that's for sure.
You're breaking up a little bit. That's why I muted it, because I can hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the man is you were breaking up a little, so I muted the sound just to have your sound come through. But yeah, the man he's only credited in the credits as the man. He, like you said, he doesn't have a name, and I think that's something we've seen often since.
Turn the sound back on.
I just did. You read my mind.
I've researched the cast of this, all the different supporting roles and so forth. Most of the people, this was like the only credit that they ever had was, the gas attendant. They were all, a lot of them were local people from Kansas.
Oh, you mean the old that used to be a pretty risky place in the old days. Then the lake went down and they made a dance hall out of it. Then they put those buildings up out there and made some sort of a carnival there for a while. That's years
There's
ago.
your mention, the first mention, I think, right, of the carnival.
And every word he just said about the history of the pavilion, that there was a flood and there was this, and then they turned it into a dance hall. It was a bathhouse. It started out as a bathhouse, then it became a dance hall, all of that, and then it became a carnival. Everything he just said there was completely true of the real place. Now I love this lady. I love this lady. She's a local again. I guess she did some community theater, but this is her only. No, she has 3 film credits, but they weren't anything I'd heard of. This is the only one of her 3 credits that I'd heard of.
Oh, she has another. Okay. Nothing that most people know or heard of, right?
Nothing you would have heard of. No, only this. Now, interestingly, she has an odd way of speaking sometimes, a little awkward, but it actually enhances the quality of the scenes because she's a little bit off, and that helps. Because the whole movie feels a little bit off.
That's where it excels, and that's where it's just everything. Something doesn't seem right at every point in this movie as it goes on. It's just something, whether it's like you said, how she talks or another thing or multiple different things that is just.
And by the end,
something's off.
And by the end of the movie, you understand why.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier, he was great at throwing those subtle hints in.
Yeah.
When they mentioned earlier about how she's not bothered at all after surviving an accident and stuff. That's a little subtle hint. I think worked great.
Yeah.
That's a cool shot with her reflection.
Really nice shot. And a second ago,
how it's distorted too.
And a second ago, when you saw him through the drapes, that was again very effective. She sees him a number of times. Every time she does, it's very effective. And now in the church,
love how that looks. I love how that church looks.
Oh yeah, that's in Kansas, by the way. That's in also Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah, we're back in Kansas.
Yeah, but There he is. This actor, he was very experienced. He did a ton of stuff.
Okay. Who is he?
He probably appeared in more short movies, industrial films. That's how they met, because of his company Centron, and he
Okay.
knew him. He was as an actor. He was in more industrial films than you could shake his head.
We have a nice congregation. We'll have to have some sort of reception. They want to meet you.
Couldn't we just skip that?
I like her whole look in this too. You know, the whole thing covering her hair and everything. I know it's common back then, but I just like how she looks in this.
If they
Yeah,
say
me
I'm
too.
a fine organist, that should be enough, shouldn't it?
Well, yes, of course.
She just said,
Ready to assess for the time
Said-
being.
oh, "Good."
Stacy says this is great. Thanks. You're welcome, Stacy. Stacy, I'm glad we can do this. I'm just, apologies if there's any sound issues and stuff. There's like, this is a test. Never really done the movie on the screen, but hopefully
this
it's
is
entertaining for you guys.
This is quite an important dialogue scene. I can paraphrase. He's obviously very pleased at her talent. She's a great organist, and that's why she was hired. But she does not endear herself much to him when it comes to spiritual talk, because for her, it's just a job. And he finds that to be very disconcerting. He's not used to having organists who don't care about the music in a spiritual sense. To her, it's just a job. So she made that pretty plain.
I mean, that is odd in a way. I mean, most as a musician myself, I mean, it's all about the passion and the love for doing it. It wouldn't just be a job.
And yet, look at this. They are both moved by her music spiritually. They are moved by what she can produce as an artist.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she herself is not religious.
Yeah.
But they're moved by the music. Oh, and now something strange happens here. She starts getting taken over by some kind of impulse. It's like a possession.
Just the whole fact of making her an organ player and the whole inclusion of organs in this movie adds something to it for me.
The stained glass windows, very nice,
Yeah, beautiful place, all the locations.
Here we go. Here's the man again.
Yep.
He filmed him the same way as the face on the stained glass window a minute ago. No, same.
I love how he was made up. I don't know how much he was made up compared to. I've never seen a regular picture of him. I'm sure he was made up. Right?
He was made up. It was heavy, like pancake white makeup. White.
Yeah.
Chalky.
He looks so creepy in the shots of this.
Here, another.
Nothing at all.
I've got to make a call out past the lake. Would you like to come along for the ride?
You know that old pavilion out there?
It's the old pavilion.
Go right by it. Stop and look at it if you like.
I would, with you along.
Now they get to go. They go together to this incredible location. By the way, I was wrong about the playing the organ. That's a later moment where she becomes possessed and the music changes.
Oh, okay. Beautiful cinematography here.
Oh, it is. Someone turned all of this into like a very elaborate video thing, like a video game, where he recreated these locations in color and 3D kind of.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Have you? Oh, well, speaking of color, what's your feelings on the colorized version of this?
This used to be quite
Forget
a
it.
place.
Yeah.
It's been deserted for a long time now.
I think I saw that was one watch of this. I saw the colored version. I didn't care for.
There's a couple black and white movies where I don't mind if they do a really good colorization, like the Day the Earth Stood Still, a couple like sci-fi type things. But
I'm a reasonable person. I don't know. Maybe I want to satisfy myself.
No, this movie definitely benefits from being black and white.
it needs to be black and white.
Just- Just from the dream surrealness to it. And all that.
Imagine trying to colorize.
Eraserhead.
Well, yeah, obviously
Erase.
not that. But no, I was thinking two different ghosts there. Imagine trying to colorize the innocence or colorizing the haunting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, there's some movies that just shouldn't. They should stay black and white, shouldn't be colorized.
There's the man again, looking at her through one of the windows of the pavilion.
I love how he's just ever present. He's always kind of there in a way.
Yeah.
You feel his presence even after the shots are gone. You get the shot of him, you still feel the presence the whole time.
I think we missed a moment in their dialogue together where she asks about going inside past the barrier to actually go into the pavilion. And he said, no,
Okay.
he says, no, the law has placed it off limits to us. And he said it wouldn't be very seemly. It wouldn't be very seemly of me as a priest to go against the law, would it?
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that line actually. I actually remember that line from a previous watch for some reason. I remember the priest saying that.
Yep.
That's a cool shot.
Yeah.
Just the little things too in this, like the little decisions. It's like just like that right there. Well, he had a great eye for a lot of different little shots in this.
Oh yeah.
Stacy has a question asking. I'm guessing she's asking you, when did you first see this film?
Oh my God, I saw it probably 25, 30 years ago. This actor, very good actor, Sidney Berger. This guy, again, like her, is the real deal. I mean, he's except he was a very accomplished theater actor, very accomplished theater actor, and he worked with and knew everybody in New York theater, from Edward Albee, who he was good friends with, and you name it. I was reading his biography, and it's like a list of illustrious names, all these people he worked with and knew. And they became a teacher. He was a teacher, drama teacher at the University of Houston, Texas. And he's great in this.
Wow. I love how she screams real fast. She gets startled.
Yeah. He's so wonderfully sleazy, and he's not like that at all. He's the opposite as a person. I've seen him interviewed. He's nothing like. Now watch this. He's looking. See, now watch. He's peeking through a slit in the door. As he pointed out himself, that shot where you see his eye watching her, he's watching her through the door. In real life, that would not have been possible, really, because he is blind in his right eye. He has no sight at all in his right eye.
So he technically didn't see it.
No, he saw nothing.
For him.
Yeah. Now he's well-meaning, but he's kind of sleazy. He's basically horny all the time. And he.
I like his performance a lot.
He's attractive. What?
I like his performance in this a lot.
Too. A lot. He's great. He was proud of a particular thing that Roger Ebert, the film critic, said about him in this movie. Ebert called his performance the definitive portrayal of a nerd in lust.
That's funny.
I mean, I don't know if you could argue with Ebert. I mean, I'm sure you can think of other examples, but he does pull it off good at you.
Oh,
there's another great shot. I like that. That might be one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Mine too. That is creepy. That is creepy.
Kind of like foreshadows of Fulci in a way with the fast zoom in. on the face.
Yeah. Now she thinks he's coming up the stairs to get her, coming up to him because she hears the footsteps.
I mean, it's terrifying because imagine being her. You have no idea who the hell this guy is.
I know, exactly.
And you've been seeing him all over the place in impossible locations.
Exactly. And now she just heard the voice. She realizes it's not him at all. It's the landlady. I mean, it's the the woman who runs the bed. There she is. It's her, not him.
Hey, what's up, Cal? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, you must mean Mr. Linden. He has the room across the hall.
She mentioned seeing that figure. She said, "Oh, that must be Mr. Linden, the man down the hall." We met Mr. Linden.
Me and you and Mr.
And that wasn't him down there.
Yeah, it's not him.
That was not Mr. Linden.
You're needing this food.
Cal says, "Hey, Paul."
Hey, Cal. She
the boards pop or something. These old houses creak worse than my knees. I didn't hear him. I saw him.
Yeah, I didn't hear him. I saw him.
Now, don't
Now, don't talk that way. She's freaking the woman out.
Right.
Scared. She's like, "Oh yeah."
You just gotta not let your imagination
Yeah, she's like, okay, I gotta go though.
Because the chain was on the door.
I got a pie in the oven. I gotta get down to that.
I gotta get down. What she wants is to get the hell away from this woman who's scaring her. He got. I like that weird reading. Nobody's there. She says it like she barely did an investigation in any way. She just took a gander and there's nobody there. All right, good. Case closed. She says it like somebody who has no intention of doing any investigating.
Exactly. And she thinks that she's nuts, this woman.
Exactly.
Oh, there's nobody there. Don't worry about it.
Oh, this was a very funny cut. Very funny cut when there was some remark about the coffee, about drinking the coffee, and she says, "Are you sure you know if you want to go to sleep, you may not want the coffee. It will keep you awake." And then she says, "Oh, it won't keep me awake." And then they cut to her staring into the dark, unable to sleep.
Yeah, that's great. All these shots right here, the zoom in shots, the random different ones. That's great. That's a great little sequence.
Yep, it is. Cut to the alarm.
Thanks, Cal. Hey, Chris. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, there he is. Come to have some coffee with her. I mean, she could be really nasty. I mean, she winds up being, polite at first and then nicer to him because she's actually glad of the company.
I heard your alarm. I think, yeah. Guess what I got? Just what it takes to start the day off right.
Here's your surprise. I love how he hid it behind his back. Like,
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yes. This movie also has one of the
Great lighting too from outside.
This movie also has one of the great awkward date scenes. Eventually, they go out on a date together, and that's one of the more awkward dates.
Yeah, I mean, it's been awkward with the two of them pretty much since she met him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, is that what you do?
No, he does a great job in this. Every time, like I said, it's not often that I watch this movie, but every time I rewatch it, I always appreciate his performance more and more and more.
Didn't know you were a church woman.
To me, a church is just a place of business.
That's a funny way to look at it.
See, even right there, how she drops the same type of thinking. And church is just a place of business.
Yep.
That's her thoughts on it.
Yep.
Thinking like that, don't that give you nightmares?
You know what that reminded me of, actually?
That's a great line, actually. Yeah, what you just said.
Thinking like that, don't that give you nightmares? Because she said that
and she has no idea that what's ahead of her.
everybody she mentions to that it's just a job to her.
Night myself.
That it's, there's no spiritual component. People react really extremely to it. Even him, you wouldn't peg him as a very religious kind of guy, and yet he says, "God, having thoughts like that, don't that give you a nightmare?"
Yeah.
Everything falls back into place again. Let's have no more nightmares.
You know what that made me think of? With her saying, like, I'm a professional organist. I play for, just play to make money or whatever. Reminds me of Deep Red by Argento with not the main character, Mark, his friend who ends up being the son of the, I don't want to spoil that movie if anyone hasn't seen it, but you know who I mean, Carlo.
Yeah.
He plays, and they have that convo, and he says that, you have the gift to Mark. He's like, I play to survive. It reminded me of that.
Principal product.
Principal product.
Like the principal product of Brazil.
You better not spill that drink.
No. Badly placed.
Yeah.
I was at school, I couldn't care less. What I cared about was girls.
Didn't they offer a course in that?
Would have done that, I would have graduated.
If they had a course
It's
on
great
girls,
banter.
that's
Great banter between them.
Come on, what do you think? I'm
It
an
is.
alcoholic?
That's funny.
Look, I just like to start the day off in a good mood, that's all.
You must be hilarious by noon.
You must be hilarious by noon. That's great.
I know a guy employed as one. The happy worker. Oh, come on, nice.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Morning happy?
Yeah.
This morning, you're exactly what I needed.
You're gonna need me in the evening too. You just don't know it yet.
I'll rinse off these towels.
No, don't worry. I'll drink both of them for you.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It was unsanitary, but delicious.
I got to get funny by afternoon.
Like what she just said about the coffee because of the cups. She said it was she said it was unsanitary but delicious.
That's funny.
Well, I noticed that you had so many things to tell.
Yeah, they got great chemistry, the two of them.
They do. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Linden, but I'm sure you have to go to
The chemistry turns out to be not so great when they actually
Yeah.
on it.
On that date, right?
Yeah, it doesn't turn out quite as well. I saw her on a bus once
Does the hem hang right and back?
in
did you?
years and years ago in LA, in Los Angeles. And I checked,
Nice.
and that's where she was living. And she was living in LA.
Sure it isn't very chic to
I know it was. She had such a distinctive look. You can't mistake her for anyone else. I didn't
Yeah.
talk to her. I didn't want to bother her, but she was just on the bus. I was just trying to figure out, God, that looks like Candace Hilligoss. And I know it was. From every angle,
Yeah. No, yeah, she does have a very distinct look. It's hard to mistake someone else for her.
It is. This is a great sequence. What Herk Harvey does with the sound. Now look at that. See, everything's getting strange, right? It rippled. It's ripply look.
Yep.
And now
love
the
that.
sound.
And that progresses as we go on too. It happens more often.
All of the background noises of the department store, the people walking around, the voices chattering, have disappeared. It's quiet now in there. You can
It's
hear
almost like a dark void, like an empty.
Yeah.
You're lost in a void.
There are certain sounds of like objects, but even the sound of objects, like when she's walking, her footsteps sound hollow and strange, not like normal footsteps. So something is different here, and she realizes that people are not reacting to her. They don't seem to see her.
Yeah.
as if she was a ghost.
Either I'm a ghost or this is the most rude department store I've ever been. All of these people are terrible customer service.
Here, look, she's talking to the woman. The woman
Yeah.
just walks away like she didn't even hear what she said.
Yeah, see though, if that was me, there's no way that person's walking away without saying. I'll be like, "Excuse me, I just said something." Maybe that's New York in me, but she's too nice.
Yeah.
I love that sound, all those sound effects.
Yeah, well, it's the organ.
Yeah.
Distorted organ.
They make great use of the organ sounds, and yeah, like you said, like manipulating them, echoes, all different stuff.
Nobody can see her. Nobody's listening to her. She can't hear them when they're talking. She sees their lips move, but she can't hear them. Very, very distressing. This is very. Don't you think this is very Twilight Zone?
Yeah, definitely.
Real Twilight Zone vibe. There, her footsteps. You hear her footsteps sounding kind of odd, but you don't hear anybody else's footsteps, only hers. Ah, yeah, jackhammer. Nothing, no sound. I like the way that says joy, the word joy on it. I mean, these little touches.
Yeah, that comedic touches to joy. Well, yeah, that's what she's feeling right now.
Exactly. Well, to me, what makes her...
Stacey had a question. If they were to remake this movie,
they did. They did remake it.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying before that question?
They did do a remake.
They did remake.
Did they?
That.
They did a color remake years later, and it was.
I can imagine.
Not a good movie.
Yeah, for some reason, when she asked about a remake, I thought to myself, "Didn't they remake this?" But then maybe I was just thinking. Then I thought to myself, maybe I'm thinking of the colorized version, and just that's making me think remake.
Yeah, some remakes can be interesting. You want to seek them out just to see what they did with. For example, the remake of Invaders from Mars. I still prefer the original, but it's fun to see, what Tobe Hooper or who did that. Was it Tobe Hooper? I forget who did the remake. Carpenter? Somebody did. Anyway, I didn't for it, but it's worth seeing. I don't know if it was. But it's sort of worth seeing. But this wasn't. Yeah. Oh, here's. Oh, she mistook that guy for the man.
Yeah. I mean, any weird guy I don't know would scare the shit out of me if that was me. After what she's been seeing.
Yeah.
I'd be macing people left and right if someone popped up on me without notice.
Yeah.
You've had a fright. Hysteria won't solve anything. Now control yourself.
Another person saying you had a fright.
Hysteria. This man turns out to be a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
And he winds up
because he treats her, or he tries treating her. But, yeah.
He treats her. Yeah.
I'll take her over to my office. We'll see that she's.
Said I'll take her over to my office. Yeah. Yeah. Again, all of this must be Lawrence, Kansas.
Able to hear anything or make contact with anyone. It was as though for a time I didn't exist. As though I had no place in the world. No part of the life around me.
And then you saw this man.
Oh, now she's telling it all to him. What happened just now?
Yeah.
You'll excuse my back, but I wanted to get some of that written down.
I must have been talking for an hour.
Anything else? Anything you haven't told me?
That's all there is. That's the whole story. Been following. That's all there is.
Imagine says, "All right, good. Thanks for telling me all that." And then just two cops come in. They take her away to some insane asylum.
He called.
Like, all right. Yeah, I made the call. Yeah, this woman's nuts. We got to get her somewhere.
Yeah, he called for the men in the white coats.
Less than a week since you were in a car that cracked.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like that generic when someone gets dragged away in a straitjacket screaming, "No, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy."
You think I imagined all of it, don't you? You think I'm insane?
I didn't say that. I don't mean that.
I'm a competent person. If anything, I'm a realist. I'm not given to imagining anything.
Hogwash. All of us imagine things. Have you never heard
Hogwash. I
teammates
miss
talking
that term.
behind your back and
You don't hear
imagining
hogwash
something
enough.
about you? Have you never
By the way, the people here who have not seen this before, where you're seeing it here for the first time,
point is this?
this is not the ideal way to see this movie for the first time when we're analyzing
Oh
it.
yeah, absolutely. We say that. I say that with every watch along and stuff. I say if this is the first time watching it, not the way.
Watch it again in the right, environment, really good sound.
Absolutely.
This is a very soft looking print. There are much better prints of this than this one that are sharp and clear.
Absolutely.
Get a really good, if you can, get a hold of the Criterion disc. You can find it used on eBay. I highly recommend it. It's got all these amazing little extra documentaries about the locations and about the people. There's a great piece on Herk Harvey and his industrial film company that led to the making of this. It's great stuff. So, but the movie you can certainly see, in the right environment where you're not being distracted by any noises like us.
By us. But yeah, that's something I always say with every watch. Is if this, especially if it's a movie that's like you said, like one like this, that like it's so
Good.
important to be immersed into it, and the sound and all of that, not a big screen and stuff. Yeah, always rewatch the film, guys. Whatever we're talking about, on your own time,
It
your own
matters.
time, and get into it.
It matters less if you're watching Plan 9 from outer space, although
Yeah,
that does help. It does help to see that one with a big audience because people will be roaring
Yes.
and laughing. So you don't want to see that alone.
yeah, definitely some movies worth it. Some movies,
Yeah.
it don't matter what you're doing when you're watching them.
Exactly.
Oh, Stacy asked, "What is your favorite Poe work to read?"
Somebody knows about
Great
my
program.
work with Poe.
Thank you, JT.
Somebody
Well, that's because I
knows.
dropped it in the chat saying that because May said that your Paul's knowledge is amazing.
I'm
So
a
I
Poe
said,
scholar.
yeah, it is. He's also a Poe scholar. So
I co-authored a play
Yeah.
about Poe. It's been performed all over the world, and it is starring John Aston as Poe, the original Gomez Adams. He did it for like 10 years all over Australia, Ireland, Scotland, all over the U.S. Before that, I did it myself. I did it for several years, and so yeah, I've been involved in documentaries on Poe. I've been interviewed as one of the talking heads, and the A&E biography episode, The Mystery of Edgar Allan Poe. I'm all through that. And there was a recent documentary on PBS, and I'm in the credits of that. I'm not on camera, but I'm in the credits because I co-authored the development grant on
okay.
the National Endowment for the Humanities, and we got the grant. It was we were one of only 11 grants awarded.
Yeah, I mean your knowledge of film is just unreal. Your knowledge of movies, and I knew, and I've told you this, and then just for people who don't know in the chat, like I saw Paul being interviewed in a documentary. Like I can't believe it's 2014 that came out, the 50 horror movies you never seen or whatever it is. 11 years ago. Wow. And I remember thinking back then and stuff, just as you were talking about The Beast Within and a few other things, saying, because I was a huge Beast Within fan and I always loved your work in there. So I said, this guy just seems like such a nice person, someone I can talk to all day long about movies. Then 11 years later, I never would have thought that we'd be here. Friends talking about this, having you on a few times. I mean, it's wild how things turn out. But you always had that quality to you.
1 second. I wanted to point out, well, can't go back. Can you go back? Well, don't go back, I guess.
No, I can.
You can go back. Yeah.
Yeah, what? How long? A minute or so?
A little bit more. A little bit more. Because this whole sequence, okay, this is fine. Yeah, after
Okay,
that.
yeah, right there. Okay,
He
cool.
first goes to the pavilion. Because that's a great sequence, this one in the pavilion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time to go out there is now. This is this is one of the really the two climactic sequences. There's one that's much more extreme later, but this exploration by herself of the pavilion is so great. First of all, you get to see this was a very popular amusement park at one time. And then none of this was created. None of this was created for the movie. This all existed. And all of this is now gone. There is a solitaire pavilion. There is a solitaire pavilion now that you can go and see that is out there in the same location, but it's completely different. All of this that you see here burned to the ground. There was a fire, and it was like the second or third time. This place was like cursed when it came to fires, and things would get demolished. So all of this was in ashes. But there was a roller coaster, all kinds of rides.
That's such a shame. That's such a shame. It's not there no more.
I know. Now at this point, it was no longer used. It was disused. It was closed. But you could have like gone back in time, like 15 years from when this was shot. It would have been a bustling location, a very popular amusement area.
I love that shot of her coming through that tunnel, whatever that is, that pipe.
Barrel, one of those barrels that turns. Now look at these.
Yeah,
these hanging.
That's such a cool shot.
Now watch, one of them moves without her touching it.
Yeah.
That's creepy. They're like somebody was in there, doing it subtle, but it is eerie. You don't see anything other than the moving of the thing. Now I love this. She's walking past this slide, and from right up at the top, as she starts to walk by, look at that.
Yeah, it comes down. That's cool.
An old mattress.
That would freak me out.
An old mattress comes down that slide, man. It's a great idea. And I loved it. Look at this lighting.
And the lights. I was just saying, the lights is just so good with that. They're coming over her. So cool.
Again, there are any number of ways to photograph anything, and Herk Harvey had a really good knack for making shots interesting. Yeah. Even that, where she stops and with the lights on her face and drawing behind her.
Even that right there, the shooting from the gate, like through it, like that's like you said, you could film something a million different ways to say, you know what, I want her walking towards this gate where the camera's behind. That's a great idea.
Yeah, chain link fence.
Great idea.
Chain link fence.
Great idea.
He makes it into something. She wants to get into or get out. Let me see. She's going out or in?
In.
She's coming in. Right. There was a big ballroom at this place. That the main part of the pavilion is occupied by a huge dance hall, and I think that's what she's going to see here. Part of it was like a fun house and all of that, but another big area was the dance pavilion. That's where she is now. Yeah, that is the dance hall. It's all in tatters with paper streamers lying everywhere. But this place was very large, and not too long after this, towards the later part at the end of the film, you really get a better look at it as it must have looked at the time. He for this one sequence coming up later in the film, Herk Harvey had it all restored to the way it must have looked when it was being used as a dance hall, and you'll see it looking much newer and see what it looked like occupied, shall we say. Again, I love this. By the way, I'm sure people know the television series. It's been on now for like 23 seasons. Everybody must know it. Ghost Adventures, where these parasites. Oh, look at that! Look at that. That's neat. Yeah.
That's a cool show.
Yeah, this television series, a paranormal investigator.
There's even a thing from Harvey, from the director seeing that one location and that leading to all this. I mean, it's really, really unreal when you think about it.
What I wanted to mention was this location of the pavilion. There's a newer pavilion there now, but apparently it's haunted, so they say. And
really?
And there's an episode of that show, Ghost Adventures, where they go out there and they stay there all night. Oh, yeah. And they set up equipment and cameras. Yeah, they caught 2 or 3 very impressive things there that were really eerie. and it's just cool because it's the location from Carnival of Souls. They go out there, and of course it's the new people.
Could be maybe they picked up the spirit of the director. Maybe he hangs out and haunts the location and inspires.
I don't know. I think he probably has better things to do.
Yeah, I know. Right? I mean, who knows? You don't know what the afterlife's like. Maybe it gets boring as hell. Maybe hey, I need to go back to this pavilion, hang out, haunt some people.
Yeah. Here's where he convinces her to, instead of going up and spending the rest of the night alone, I think he convinces her to come and have a drink, go out with him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens in a while later. Here's the sequence I was remembering earlier that I missed, where she's playing the organ and the music starts to change the way she plays. But anyway, there's a nice documentary on YouTube that you can see on the history of Saltaire. That's the name of that pavilion. Saltair. Saltaire, the Saltaire Pavilion. And they have a good little documentary on the whole history of the place. And this film is mentioned, of course, at some point during the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not? Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to. And what does that say? I didn't get that. Oh, well, it said something interesting. But anyway, the current pavilion, there's a new one. They had to build it because they burned down. But they rebuilt the new pavilion to look as much like the old one as they could. It still has a Moorish kind of look and has those onion-shaped domes on it and so forth. So, here we go. Now the music
starts.
Yeah, the music. Strange now,
yeah, that's cool.
Oh, great, Al. I'm glad you do. I love this flick too.
Yeah. How you doing, buddy? How you doing, Al?
His name is Dracula, spelled backwards.
Yes, it is. Actually, you're one of the only people I know that picked up on that immediately.
Oh, look, I'm a fan of Son of Dracula.
A lot of people who he's a good friend of mine out here.
Lon Chaney
Never,
Jr.
I didn't even notice for like a year.
Count Alucard.
Yep.
Oh, they filmed
That's
this
a great shot too. Every shot of him.
They filmed that in a swimming pool. Yeah, these shots were done in somebody's backyard swimming pool at night.
Looks great for that.
Yes.
Yeah, see? You know it. Paul knows. Paul knows his shit.
By the way, that's my favorite entrance in a movie of the character of Dracula is in Son of Dracula, where his coffin comes rising up and it's floating in the swamp. And then this smoke, this white smoke or mist comes out of the coffin and turns into Dracula. And then we see him floating across the
yeah. Okay, yeah. Yep. I know that.
It's really cool. Yeah, I agree with you. Candace's performance is indeed so otherworldly here. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about her earlier, how amazing she does in this. That's a great shot when he comes finally with the and his hands outreached.
But it's not his hand. It's the priest.
That's what I love about this movie is how it's how dreamlike it is, nightmarish, and you don't know what's real, what's not the first time you're watching it.
But now he's yelling at her because of how weird the music was when his hands. He wanted her to stop.
Yeah,
and he said sacrilege.
This is what we hired you for.
Yeah, sacrilege. Yeah, what are you playing here? What is this?
And she doesn't even realize. I mean, she knows, but she doesn't know what happened. Like she can't explain it.
She's so shell shocked at this point. She doesn't really.
Yeah, she has no explanation.
She's sort of half here and half not there. Oh, he just told her she's going to have to go. He has fired her. Poor thing.
Yeah. Usually playing weird ass stuff like that the church would result in that. But it's not her fault though.
I like the fact that she whoever she tries to confide in, she winds up alienating in some way.
Yeah.
And
Because she sounds nuts because
was
what's
very-
what's
true.
happening to her. It's crazy.
But he's a priest, he should. I mean, he was very kindly before, but now it's like even he is cutting her off. I mean, scene by scene by scene, we see her getting cut off by people, getting dislocated, one after another,
Just
and,
being sent further into isolation.
Exactly. Okay, they're gonna have their date now. the date scene.
Their date that led to their marriage with 3 kids later.
Not exactly.
Couldn't have happened anyway.
Not exactly. Jukebox. There we go. By the way, I'm glad I remembered to say this. The film, the perfect film to make a marvelous double bill with this movie is Curtis Harrington's film Night Tide. It was the first movie by Dennis Hopper is the lead, a young Dennis Hopper.
Oh, okay, I know that movie.
A young lady. Oh, it's great. It's very haunting. It has a lot of elements that are not unlike Carnival of Souls. It even has a carnival in it, a carousel. It's supernatural. It's got really great stuff in it. Yeah, it's really well done. Curtis Harrington did a very good job with that. It's black and white. Made around the same kind of time period. The title comes from Poe.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, Night Tide. It's a part of it's from Annabelle Lee. His poem Annabelle.
Okay. That's cool.
Donnie, who's the doll? Who's the doll? He's been holding out on.
Even like some of the side characters in this movie are their performances and the way that they're directed are so quirky and so weird.
He got memorable and interesting performances from almost everybody, whether they were amateurs or whatever. He knew how to get interesting performances.
Definitely.
Could this be a little louder?
Louder? Yeah.
Could it?
Wanted me to meet her.
Perfect.
I said, how could I? You're my date, Said you didn't seem to enjoy my company much.
That's not true. I really appreciate you taking me out this evening. I've had a miserable night if you hadn't.
He's like the last one left to listen to her.
Yeah, join the party, drink up. I paid good money for that stuff. It ain't poison.
Paid good money for that stuff. It's not poison.
No, I don't get you. First you stand me off.
It's not poison. This guy loves his drinking.
If you got something, just hold him back. Now, everything I say is okay. You're a mouse.
Yesterday I didn't care. Tonight I want to be with you.
Me or just with anybody?
With you.
Why don't you go out?
This is interesting. There's no music. People are dancing. I don't hear any music, do you?
Yeah. I've just noticed that. I just noticed that in the background, the person dancing.
I just noticed that. Yeah, it's an odd touch.
I was thinking, what are they dancing to?
Something that odd, and
right
you don't
there,
even.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, they're right. Yeah, they're dancing. I mean, I get if you can dance without music, slow dance, I guess.
Guess so.
It is weird though.
It's weird. They had a jukebox. They showed. I mean, it's very odd.
I wonder if that's on purpose. I wonder if he did that on purpose because he specifically showed the jukebox. Then you see them dancing. You have to be on purpose.
Music. There was some music earlier, but now there's not. So.
That's I mean, like in this scene when they're talking, like to make it to add to like
to her throughout.
Yeah.
been happening to her elsewhere, where suddenly sound disappears, music vanishes.
Yeah, I never noticed it though in that scene with
No,
them
no.
dancing with no
I
music.
didn't
It's
either.
weird. That's a cool addition though. He's
Yeah.
falling down the stairs.
He's had a wee bit too much to drink.
It's all right. He'll reset in the morning and be funny by the afternoon.
Yeah.
Honey, you don't want to go in there all by yourself, do you? Dark and lonely in there. You don't have to be alone tonight. Let me come in a while. Let me stay with you, huh? You don't want to be alone, do you?
No.
I like how this is lit too, with the light from the outside, but it's dark in the room, so it's like she wants to be in the dark, like she's in the darkness.
You couldn't see them suddenly.
You asked me in, you like me a little, huh?
Take 3.
Oh,
That's cool.
that was very well done. And you only saw a little bit of his
Very,
face. A
very
little,
good.
yeah, they didn't overdo it.
Yeah, very, very short little. Yeah, very short. Very subtle. Very good though.
Yeah.
You gotta stop him. He's after me again.
I'm getting
I have to go.
Not me, sister. That's just what I need. Get mixed up with some girl who's off her rocker.
It's just what I need. Getting mixed up with some girl who's off her rocker.
That's fucking funny.
Now you feel so bad. Look at her. She's so tormented. And, God,
Yeah, and he was the one that like he's all for it. He's drinking, can, and then as soon as he hears this, I'm out.
Then I'm out. Peace out.
I don't need this nut in my life.
No, peace out. He wants nothing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There's not enough alcohol in the world to make me go with this insane person. That's a cool shot.
The windows of her.
What a
apartment,
great transition shot.
It was, and it had those windows from the outside. The top of the windows in
Yeah.
a room were stained glass windows, like the ones in the church. Interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. That staircase kind of reminds me of Twin Peaks, like
Oh, yeah?
the staircase up to the convenience store.
Here's her.
I mean, it is just a staircase on the side of a wall, but you see it all the time. But for some reason, it does remind me of that.
I'm sure glad you just happened around. I was gonna call somebody, but I was afraid you'd have to take soon.
I came on purpose. I'm thinking about her ever since she left my office yesterday. What's she been up to?
Only the devil knows that.
Only the
I
devil.
heard her moving things all around that room all night. Never heard such goings on. And she wouldn't let me in her room this morning.
She's a strange one.
Yeah.
She absolutely refuses my help. I can't say that I blame her. There's something about her that completely baffles me.
It's funny. He looks like Ray
I heard
Bradbury.
her call for me. She feels she needs help, and I hope she will.
Yeah, I can
I
see it.
can't let her stay in this
like-
house.
You won't have to worry
I
about
can't
that.
let it stay in this.
She's determined to leave the city, and she wants to get away as soon as possible.
I hope she does leave.
I hope she can.
That's a nice little ominous line right there. I hope she can leave here.
Right. Well, he intends to leave, much to the relief of the landlady.
Yeah. Even just like the way she moves, is off a bit, is off kilter. Like it's such a good performance.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying with the footsteps earlier? Because those footsteps kind of
It
sound
is
weird.
they were
There's like a
probably-
straight back to them.
yeah.
Where you going?
No, the footsteps were outdoors with that same scene where the guys were using the jackhammer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Be fun none of your weak
Okay.
friends when you go
Yeah, and she's like secretly the happiest woman in the world. This lady that she's leaving.
Yes, exactly. The only thing
Oh,
she'll
you sure there's nothing I can do to make you stay? No, all right, have a great one.
the only thing she'll be sorry to lose is the money. Then
Yeah, exactly. But for them, it ain't worth it. How crazy she's acting.
weird sounds in the scene, like sounds like bats. Spooky little sounds like bats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she needs to have a car. Something done with the car.
The lighting in this movie, and like you said, it's not the best version to transfer this, whatever. It's
No.
very, very impressive still. His use of lighting through this whole movie, of light and dark, very well done.
It is, yeah. Now you can see, younger people today watching this movie would be like, does anything happen in this movie? Is anything going to
Yeah, exactly. I know.
The Aryan
There's a lot.
like,
Unfortunately, the younger
where's the
generation.
action?
It's the TikTok generation we're in now. No
I
one has
know.
an attention span more than 10 fucking seconds.
Believe me, they would even look at The Exorcist, the original Exorcist.
Yeah. Halloween too.
And they'd say, this is too slow. They want things to move like a Cuisinart.
Yep. Get to the last hour so we can get the Exorcist part, and then we'll end the movie. That's what they want. Well, like if the movie was if the Exorcist was just the last act with the actual possession and everything, and the exorcism, that's what they'd be happy with.
Yeah, they would look at The Exorcist as too slow, and they would completely fall asleep at Rosemary's Baby, one of my favorite all-time, classic movie, great movie.
Actually, that's one of the few things we probably that's one of the few things we probably disagree with so far, movie-wise. I don't like Rosemary's Baby.
You really don't?
I never have. I've tried so many times. I really don't. I have a lot of respect for it. And
it's a very well-made film. The performances are great. I just find it slow.
One of my all-time favorites. I mean,
I know.
I put it up.
I know many people
The Exorcist.
That's up on their list.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
and it's funny because Mia Farrow is also in Full Circle, The Haunting of Julia, that I just saw like 2 years ago. That movie is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is. I love the score too.
Yeah, the score is unreal. I had Colin Towns who did the score to talk all about it. That was a great interview. He was really inspiring to talk with.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, back in the day when a gas station attendant would hear someone scream and actually go and try to help and see what it is.
Today, you want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you pump a gas, scream, whatever that was.
No, he'd go for the police.
Yeah.
I know she goes to the psychiatrist's office again the second time. This might be his building. I think it is.
Yeah.
That's why she's here.
I love that effect there, the ripple.
That ripple. That shows you she's passed into this other dimension.
Yeah, that's some type of crossover that happened there.
Yeah, she's at the bus station.
When does the next bus leave? I must get on.
When does the next bus leave? Yeah, he's not looking at her. He doesn't hear her. They don't see her. Now, of course, if she had actually tried, like, to grab this man, if she actually did that,
I was just thinking that.
her hands would probably go right through him, but they didn't have the effect budget. They couldn't do an effect like that, so they're not going to have that happen.
That's so funny. I was thinking that as soon as you were talking and it was coming out of your mouth, that's what I was thinking.
But in a way, it's more subtle. Happen that way.
Just like when it comes and I look at things and nitpick things, if that was me, I'd be touching each one of them, slapping, hello, and then you'd realize right away something's wrong.
Listen,
Right away.
Listen,
Something's wrong.
Go back 1 second. Just
Yeah.
go back 1 second. There. Okay. I think that. Yeah. Now listen how weird the sound is when it comes out of the announcing thing, where they announce the times of the buses.
Oh, those lights too that were just
Here,
floating on that control board.
Now loading gate 9.
Now loading 8, 9. I mean, that's not a normal. That's not a normal announcement.
Exactly. No, it's like they got him from the horror movie guy who did all the trailers in the 90s and 80s.
Yeah. Yep.
This fall.
Yep.
That's such a great shot.
It is.
With all of them getting up, that is such a great shot. That's one of the best, I think, in the movie. One of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, this could be paired with there's a Twilight Zone episode called Mirror, Mirror, which is very creepy, set in a bus station. And there's a thing.
Yes. I know that episode, yes.
Bus seem really strange. And she sees images in the mirror that like shouldn't be there, people that shouldn't be there. And
I remember
like,
that episode. That's a good one.
And then it's about doppelgangers. People have a doppelganger of themselves. Creepy.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
That's also about a young woman who people are beginning to think she's out of her mind, and she's played by Vera Miles.
Yeah, it's like she's waiting. Yeah, Vera Miles plays. That's right. She's waiting at the station, right? And the bus is bus is supposed to come. They're all waiting for it to come. It doesn't come. It's some weird isolation thing.
Go back again 1 second.
Yeah.
Go back 1 second.
Yeah, we're right near like the end of the movie here, so we'll try to keep the chatter a little low.
It was great. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that again.
It's really creepy.
It's
There's a really iconic close-up of her where she looks terrified, which is so great. Coming up here in a second. It's a great image of her eyes, which is very expressive. I think that was that same guy.
That's a great shot too. All the lights, the shot of the lights look so good.
Yeah, the weird footsteps. All right, now watch this close-up of her coming up and looking terrified. It's an iconic shot of her. She looks so... Here we go.
I know the shot you mean.
Here we go. There. Yeah, that's a great shot. That could be on a poster.
That is good.
That's great. And it's not that the car is chasing her.
Yeah, that's one of the most famous ones.
The vehicle looked like it was chasing her, but it wasn't. The vehicle didn't see her at all.
Yeah.
It was just driving. It wasn't chasing her, but it didn't see her, and so she had to start running. Yeah. Of course, if she had stopped, the vehicle probably would have gone right through her, you know.
Yeah. This is cool. That's cool. She's ready. She just doesn't know what's going on anymore. Grabbing her hair. What is happening? Yeah, you know something's wrong, like on a paranormal level, when a cop's not answering you or responding to you.
The taxi doesn't want to ride. Doesn't want to. Turns down your fare.
Good. Yeah, the score adds a lot to the scene, this ending.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not a score you'd want to listen to all night on an album, though.
Yeah.
All right, watch this. Watch this. There's a great transition here from the weird world to back to the normal world. Oh, she hears a bird.
Yeah.
Now she knows everything's okay again. She can hear birds. Very nice.
Yeah, that's a nice little touch too.
It is.
Now I'd go back and start talking to everybody
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and see if it works, right?
She's talking to her psychiatrist. That's where she went. That his building was right by the park we saw earlier.
This is cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're everywhere. Not going to be where I see something blocking my trying to prevent me from living.
She doesn't think it's weird yet. He hasn't turned around.
I don't know what's real anymore.
I think we can accept that. We can accept weird behavior from her at this point. Pretty easily, I would say.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
She's earned the right to behave very oddly.
Go back there.
Yes, she has. After all this, who wouldn't?
Trying to
Yeah.
get me back somewhere. Stop it. You've got to know what to do.
It slowly turns. That's cool.
Hmm.
And the smile, that's a famous shot too. Yeah, with
Yeah, it is a famous
her
shot. That's
screaming at the wheel.
Yep.
Yeah,
and going to the great cut.
Yeah, there's a lot more transition shots that are great in this than I remember.
They are. Love these vintage cars.
Now it said number 24 just now as she pulled out of that garage or wherever she was parked. I wonder if that
number has any significance for anything, or if it's just there.
Like those tail fins on her car.
Yeah.
Those vintage vehicles are great. Okay, here we go. Now comes the climax of the film.
Yep.
Famous ending. And a nice use of wind.
Love that sound.
Yeah, whistling wind. Yeah. Right. And there's lots of different recordings of wind, but he got the right one.
Yeah. Great shot there too.
Oh, yeah,
She's entering in.
to the pavilion, yeah.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought it was the pilings under the pier, those wooden pilings. So that comes into it.
Oh,
too.
okay, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
That almost
It
looked
does
like
look
that.
like that.
Yeah. That sea there is man-made. It's not a natural sea. It happened because of some kind of a flood or like a dam breaking or something.
Okay.
Filled the whole area with water, and it's the party guest.
There they come.
Oh yeah, and the man. There's Herk Harvey.
Yep.
And
That's great when it turns on.
yeah, here we go. Here's the ballroom restored to the way it used to be. By the way, that sea there, the Salton Sea, the salt content is so high that anybody can float in it. You don't have
You
to know.
float in it like the Dead Sea almost. Yeah.
Exactly, you float like a cork. The same thing with what is it called? There's a place in near Palm Springs. There's another one of those seas. It's been in a lot of movies. It was in the Monster That Challenged the World. I think it was. Wait a minute, was that the one with the giant caterpillar creatures, the krakens? Sci-fi.
I'm gonna look up the name of the sea.
Great mechanical monsters.
Salton Sea.
Salton Sea. Okay, I say I mix it up with Salton Sea. I mix it up with Saltaire. This is Saltaire Pavilion.
Hmm.
Saltaire. But it's the Salt Lake. It's the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah.
In here in this movie, you're looking. It's the Great Salt Lake. Oh look, she's got a makeup too.
Yep.
She looks like one of them now.
One of us. One of us. Ooh, goblins.
Freaks. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, the one in Palm Springs is the Salton Sea, which is a weird area too. But there's no Grand Pavilion there. This is a little more picturesque. Look at
All
her.
their facial expressions are great.
Well, that wasn't even her. She was seeing him dancing with her.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually her.
That's why she had that frozen expression on the not hers face. That's
right.
Great.
Which is great.
So there's doppelgangers sort in a way in this too.
Yep. Ah, yeah, the chase. Now she gets chased under the pier by the pilings, wooden pilings.
Yeah. Yeah, Stacy Salton is the name of the lake.
Yeah, Salton Sea. Yeah, in Palm Springs, that area. Near Palm Springs. Oh, this is cool.
Great shot there too when they all come in under the pier. Another great transition.
Oh yeah. Now they're trying to find out what happened to her. I think they trace her footprints.
Because still over there, and then her footprints leading up to here.
And nothing.
And she's gone.
And then nothing.
Great shot there too.
Sure is.
Sound is so cool.
Back to the bridge in Kansas where the car went over the edge and into the water.
Where the nightmare began.
They've never found the car. And now I guess they have found the car.
That's cool. I love that shot too.
Yeah. Well, now we know why she was dead.
That's right. For those who haven't seen it and don't know, she's been dead the entire time. And I know today, like nowadays, like you were talking earlier with like the younger people and generation and stuff, that might not hit as hard for many people because it's been done to death at this point. But back then, you got to think of back then and how stylish it is.
A lot of movies were inspired by this. This movie was very influential.
Exactly.
Number of elements. And
the way that it's done and shot and filmed and the lighting really impressed me on this particular watch.
Yeah. Jacob's Ladder inspired by this. I mean, he's with Jacob's Ladder, same thing. You find out he's been dead. He's dead.
Yeah. And when it's done well, when I love those type of movies. And basically she's just like been in purgatory this whole time. Or some version of that.
I pissed off a friend of mine so badly. 2 times I did. One was with the Sixth Sense.
Okay, yeah.
Bruce Willis. We're watching the movie, and it's about like 15 minutes into the film, and there's a scene in a restaurant. Bruce Willis is having dinner with his wife, and
His
so
wife,
forth.
right?
Yeah, and I turned to my friend. I leaned over to him and I said, I'll bet he's dead, isn't he?" And he got so angry.
Spoiled the movie. Yeah.
He was so angry. No, he knew it. He was taking me.
Oh,
to see
okay,
it.
he knew it. Oh, okay, and you just got it right out the gate.
I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
it. He's dead. And he was like, "God damn it!"
He's like, damn, man. It's like I'm about to show this cool twist.
And the same
That's
thing
cool.
happened. The same thing happened with the movie The Usual Suspects. I knew
I
who the
love that.
killer was
Love
going
that
to be.
movie.
It's a great movie. I love
Guys
it.
are so sad.
But Kaiser Soze. But I knew literally
And it was,
5 minutes into the
Kevin
5
Spacey.
minutes into the movie, I turned to my friend and I said, "It's Kevin Spacey," isn't it?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah."
Actually, I think for that, when I first saw that movie, I think I quickly guessed that too.
Well, you know how I guessed it? I guessed it because he's off camera and it's on the ship, and you just see at the bottom half of you see his shoes, but you hear his voice whispering. He's talking in a whisper.
You're right. Yep.
I recognized the voice, even though it was a whisper. I knew that was Kevin Spacey whispering.
Yeah.
And I told him, "It's Kevin Spacey, isn't it?" God damn it.
You know, like that's also another like something like that. Clue is a favorite comedy of mine. Clue, and there's the 3 different endings, but there's that part where Yvette, the maid or whatever, the big breast, she gets strangled, and you hear the character whispers, "It closed the door. Did anyone recognize you?" And you know it's Madeline Kahn. Like it's Madeline Kahn's voice, 100%. So like that always gave it to me. Gave it away the first time I saw it. I always said that's Madeline Kahn, and that's also why some of the alternate endings don't work really. Like if it's Scarlett, because I know that's Kahn's voice, like doing that. It's funny when you can pick up on just a whisper and just know that what actor it is.
Clue. That was with Tim Curry, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tim Curry. All the cast is great.
A lot of big cast. Yeah, like. It was a good companion piece to Murder by Death. Not unlike Murder by Death.
Yeah. No, Clue's up there. But Stacey had a question. What is your favorite carnival or fair ride?
Well, I'm a coaster fanatic, so there's many.
I love roller coasters too.
Yeah, I love them. I especially love wooden coasters, classic, intense wooden coasters,
like the Cyclone here in Coney Island near me.
Yeah, that beats you up. I've never been on that one.
Oh yeah, it does beat you up. I have experience. I can tell you firsthand. That thing does beat you up.
But
it's great. It's great.
My favorite coaster for a long time. I haven't been on it since they restored it. They did a whole kind of refurbishment to it because even that got shaky and rough after a while. But when it was new, it was smooth and fast and amazing. I'm talking about the coaster Ghost Rider, which
I know
Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry Farm. I've never been on it. I've never been to it or on it, but I know the coaster.
Ghost Rider. That was a hell of a coaster. I mean, there's many that I love all over the world. I've been to Tonnerre de Zeus in Paris, France. Just that's a great coaster. I'm a coaster fan. I like all the other rides I love dark rides, creepy dark rides.
Yeah, when you go through like some location on a tram or whatever, and that's great too. Actually, I have a traumatic experience to like a place like that at Adventureland when I was like a kid. You go into like this haunted house thing on a tram, and there's like a big Bigfoot that popped out. For some reason, that scared the shit out of me when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Of course,
still remember it to this day. But to everybody in chat, thanks for hanging out, and this is great, Paul. Thanks for hanging out and coming on again, and watching this movie, and talking about it.
Did everybody have a good time?
That's right. Let's leave it in the comments. Let us know if you had a good time. That way we can do this again and pick a different movie. For sure. But everybody in chat, everyone who watches in the future.
Are they gone?
Always.
Did they leave? Are they gone?
Nah, there's still people here. 5 people still watching. Some people just hang out, don't chat. Some people just some people ghost and will just sit there and not.
If anybody is still listening to me, uh,
Yeah.
did you enjoy yourself? Did you have a good
Yes.
time?
Because me and Paul have been talking a lot
I've
often
seen
since I had him
that.
on, and yeah, they could be gone. They could be in the
Well,
purgatory from
they
Carnival of Souls.
they certainly were enjoying it throughout. I mean, many times
Oh
people
yeah,
did react to all kinds of stuff that they were appreciating. So yeah,
absolutely.
they didn't fall
So
asleep. They were here.
yeah, that's the most important thing, right? If people,
Yeah.
someone doesn't fall asleep while you're talking, you did I. Right?
Yes.
All right, guys. This is the great Paul Clemens as always, and we've been talking a lot about doing a lot of things like this in the future, breaking down movies. So expect to see Paul again sometime soon. Always a pleasure, man. Like truly,
You bet. I've enjoyed it.
and
I've enjoyed
yeah.
it immensely.
good, man. Me too. All right, guys. Next video. I don't know what the hell is going to be. Carrie. That's right, because that won the poll. De Palma's Carrie, and
Can I
then
mention something about Carrie?
yeah. Go ahead.
I had an amazing experience with seeing Carrie for the first time. It had never been shown anywhere. It was the first public showing of it. It was a sneak preview in Westwood, California, on Halloween night.
Nice.
Almost the entire cast was there.
Mhm.
Piper Laurie was dressed
I loved her.
she was great in that. She was dressed in her costume from the film.
That's awesome.
As Margaret White. She would complete the costume from the movie. Sissy Spacek was dressed as a G.I. Joe, wearing very different than her character.
Yeah, I know that. That's funny.
Because it was Halloween, right? So she was dressed as G.I. Joe. But everybody was there. John Travolta, Sidney Lassick. It was great. And I had them all sign to me the first edition paperback of Carrie, and all of them signed it to me, which was just great. So I treasure that. In fact, can you wait 1 second?
Yeah, of course.
Be right there.
Yep, no problem. Also, guys, whoever's still watching or watching in the future, I know on Thursday, tomorrow, we will be watching. What the hell are we watching? I lose track. All of me, Karen at Spears and Screams, and the great man will be watching Wishmaster from '97 tomorrow on the channel, on my channel here. So it'll be me, May, and Karen watching Wishmaster, and definitely join us for that. Yeah, let me see this. That looks cool.
Now there it is. There's the first edition paperback. Okay, there's the cover, and then hold on, I will open this. Here we go. There's the title page.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Look
you can
at
see them. You can see them all written.
I wrote on there and
Looks like a yearbook. Looks like a yearbook.
Yeah, it does.
That's
I wrote
awesome.
Sneak preview, October 31st, 1976, Westwood, Abco Cinema. That's where it was. And
That's great.
so
It's a great thing. It's great to cherish that.
all those signatures. God, there's so many. All those signatures, and then on a separate page. Yeah, it is amazing. No, then on a separate page.
See, they're still there. They just fall asleep now and then.
There. And on a separate page. Here we go. Best Stephen King.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool. Awesome. Yeah, you got some awesome stuff, and you've told me about.
And then I have another thing just as awesome. It's right around here somewhere. Where did I put it? Anyway, I'll find it. But no, I have an amazing thing. It's I had a tape recorder with me, and I recorded parts of the movie, particularly of note is the ending, that famous ending, of course, of Carrie. Nobody forgets that with the hand.
No, that's like the jump scare that started the trend of jump scares.
The only jump scare I'd ever seen at that point that came close to that was years before. It was the ending of a movie called Wait Until Dark with Audrey Hepburn and Alan Arkin, where this character who you think is dead comes leaping out from the dark with a knife and starts dragging himself across the floor.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen that one. It's like in a living room and the stairs that are coming down. Yes,
the air, and then he's using the knife to drag himself across the.
Yeah. I remember.
That's
a famous scene.
Yes, and she's blind, and he's out to kill her, and it was very terrifying. People couldn't breathe. I couldn't. I was like, oh my god. So that was terrifying, but that was rare. That was unusual. That's about the only jump scare of that type that I could think of until Carrie. But with that soft music in Carrie, that very sad, gentle music, nobody was.
No one's expecting it
to
come out of that grave. And then Friday the 13th, obviously, they admitted many times stole that right from there.
Well, here's the cool thing. It was a full house, right? So about like 1,500 people in this theater. Balcony, everything was full. There wasn't an empty seat. And nobody's expecting this. I wasn't even expecting it. But I had my tape recorder going, and I have on tape the biggest audience scream you will ever hear. Where you have
you got to send me that if you can figure out a way.
Oh, it's amazing. That many people screaming at the same time. And it kept going. I mean, they were in hysterics. I mean, they were just, it went on. And the first enormous scream, then they kept screaming. And then finally it degenerated into a kind of a thing mixed with a bit of laughter, because people, after a scream like that, of course, they all start.
They let it out a bit.
Letting out the tension. So it's phenomenal. It's a classic piece of audio. Let me tell you, I'm the only one that has that. I've got to use it at some point. I've got to use that.
Yeah.
In some kind of a special DVD re-release or Blu-ray, a special Blu-ray re-release of the film. That's got to be on there as one of the bonus things.
Yeah, that would be really cool to hear. If you can find a way to send me or record it, like on your phone, record it and send it to me, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil. We're just wrapping up, but thank you for hopping in, Phil, and same Erica. Thank you.
Hello.
But yeah, this is a blast as always, man. So we got to do this again sometime soon, and I'm gonna actually go make some food because I haven't eaten dinner. But everybody in chat, thanks for hanging out. Everybody who watched in the future, thank you as always. And tomorrow, me, May, and Karen will be watching and talking Wishmaster from '97. Yeah, it'll be fun. So everyone have a great night. Paul, thanks again for coming on, man. And just hang out a second after I end the live. Sure. And everyone else, have a great night, guys. This is